necessarily. People have asked me if I will go back to bedside nursing as maybe a backup career or just working on the side. And at first I considered it, but after a lot of thinking and consideration, I realized that I won't. I don't think I see myself going back to bedside nursing. I should have put this in the beginning of my video, but I'll put it at the end. Anyways, the only caveat to my video is, hey guys, this is Mitch of All Trades and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. Welcome. Thank you for joining the fam. My name is Michelle. I'm a pediatric nurse practitioner and my channel is really all about my life, specifically for my journey from being a nurse to an NP and everything that revolves around it. If you're an oldie but a goodie, welcome. Thank you again for being a part of the fam. Thank you for continuously choosing to watch my videos, subscribing, and just being a good supporter. So in today's video, I will be talking about reasons why, even though I just recently transitioned from being a nurse to an NP, I do know a lot of stories of nurse practitioners that went back to bedside nursing for many reasons, but I think predominantly the main reason for them was the flexibility or the amount of money that it can generate from just working as a nurse versus working as an NP. I don't know, maybe I'm just like such a controversial thinker, or I just have different point of views of a lot of things, but necessarily people have asked me if I will go back to bedside nursing as maybe a backup career or just working on the side. And at first I considered it, but after a lot of thinking and consideration, I realized that I won't. I don't think I see myself going back to bedside nursing. And it's not at all any shade to nursing at all, or I truly enjoyed my time there. The amount of things that I've learned as a nurse, I think those things will carry on for me for the rest of my life, both just clinical wise, mental wise, just experience, and the people that I've worked under and work with. I was blessed to have such a great variety of specialties that I was able to tap in and work under, and all of that came with different experiences and a different patient population. So I think that was the best learning experience I've had so far. But yes, I am transitioning into a new role and it's been about a year, and I've been excited to get to this role. And now that I'm working in pediatrics, which has been my first love, I'm excited as a peds NP to work where I work. So I have considered like having a per diem job as a nurse somewhere, and you know, honestly, it just has not been working for me. And I don't know if it's because I have a lot of like things that I can do to keep myself busy, like hobbies and other engagements like traveling and videos and pictures and all that stuff that I already do on the side. Maybe just having those things to keep me busy has made it less desirable of me to go back to nursing. Or maybe essentially I've also weighed in the pros and cons. And I think part of this video is just talking about the pros and cons that I've weighed in as far as me deciding not to go back to bedside nursing. So for me, the reason why I am preferring not to go back to bedside nursing is honestly the work-life balance. And I know some people might not think this way because as a nurse, you typically work 3 or 4 days and then you have the rest of your days off, which is essentially a great thing. I think though that working 12 hours and sometimes 13 hours a day does take a physical toll on you than versus working 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day. I also think that the job that I am working in provides the best balance for me. And I think sometimes most NP jobs, especially if you're venturing into primary care, you do have the flexibility where your hours are shorter and you typically have weekends off. And holidays off as well. And working as a nurse, I never had an option to like not work any holidays. Like I always had a holiday that I had to work. And I always had a weekend that I had to work as well. But in my current job, I don't work weekends and I don't work holidays. I mean, the most that I do on holidays is that I am backup on-call provider if the main provider is not accessible or if there's any assistance that might be needed. And sometimes, like, usually that's not really much concerning or bothersome for me. So I think I got a good fair share of my deal, and the work-life balance for me has been helpful. Now I can say yes to any weekend engagement that comes my way, because most of the times, like even working as a nurse, there are some weekends that I'm busy, I'm working, and I'm not able to attend certain events that my friends are having or certain things that I wanted to do. So now that I have my weekends off, it's been very helpful. And then even on the holidays, I'm able to partake in holiday activities as I would like to. Another thing for me that makes me certain that I will not be going back to bedside nursing is the physical labor that you have to go through as a bedside nurse. Again, I enjoyed my time as a nurse, so I was okay being on my feet, working a lot. I was much younger, so I had the energy. I had a lot of things that I had to do, and it did help me grow in my skills, clinical skills and knowledge base. So as far as physical labor, I do feel like it was beneficial for me before, but currently now I enjoy not having as much physical labor as I did before. I do make rounds on my patients, but as far as like bedside procedures, I think mostly because of the place that I work in, it's few and far between me having like instances where I needed to do bedside procedures often. And it's been easier for me, and I like it. I think I've gotten to a certain point in my life where it's like, okay, I don't want to work too hard. Again, I think that there is a trade-off though. Even though there's no physical manual labor, I do have to critically think a lot. And being that I do make some of the decisions for each patient, I do have to be critically astute and make sure that I make the right decisions for each patient. So there is that trade-off. Like, it's not a physical labor, maybe a mental labor, but either way, I do enjoy not having to exert so much energy and lifting and turning patients and carrying multiple supplies and having to do different procedures like IV sticks or NG insertions or whatever the case may be for each patient. I prefer not to go back to bedside nursing because, for me at least, like, my nursing experience was a bit toxic as far as like the environments that I was in and the units that I worked at. And I've watched a lot of like videos and YouTubers, and there is a common theme of there is toxicity sometimes within like the nursing workforce. And I'm not necessarily saying that it's for everybody, but there is always that potential toxicity, whether it's nurses talking about each other or having some kind of strife between each other. And I mean, it can happen at any workplace, don't get me wrong, but for me, my experience, I feel like there was a lot of toxicity. So I think that transitioning now to my new role as an NP, and also I do think that the place that I work does have a level of consideration to my decision. But I think that I've been placed in a position that doesn't have as much toxicity as my previous jobs. Let's just keep it there. And I think that's been helpful for me. I've been through the works, I've been through the ropes of everything, and where I am now is just super comfortable for me mentally, physically, emotionally. Granted, every work environment has its issues, but I feel like it's nothing that I haven't experienced before. And I think that I have been able to manage what I've been given right now. And with what I have, I just don't see myself trying to add another load of labor. I think for me as well, I do make a good amount of money that is sustainable for myself. Most people like to have second jobs or go back to nursing because you're able to work overtime and work multiple hours, or maybe get a travel contract or work a certain shift, and you are able to generate a little more money than you probably would as an NP, because mostly working as an NP is salary based, so you are on a fixed payroll, versus working as a nurse where you can rack up and add more to your paycheck. For me, I think I'm good with what I'm making, and it is a good amount that's keeping me well sustained. Like, I feel like I can definitely earn more with different side businesses that don't have to revolve around healthcare. But as far as like my healthcare role, just solely as an NP, I do make a good amount of money that's sustainable for me, and I don't see the need of having another job or going back to bedside nursing for the sole purpose of making more money. Now, the only caveat for today's video, because I should have put this in the beginning of my video, but I'll put it at the end. Anyways, the only caveat to my video is IV therapy. Now, I've seen and heard a lot about IV therapy, and I do know about infusion therapy and nurses that go to houses for IV infusion. Now, that's a job that I will go to if I want to go back to being a nurse. It's not bedside. I think it's more of just like contract. You go to people's houses, or maybe you're at an outpatient med spa or a clinic and people come to you and you just insert IVs and begin an infusion. I will do that. Whatever role that requires me, I would do it. I think that's the only exception to me ever working as a nurse again, is if it was IV therapy. And simply because I think it's very easy, and it's not, most of the patients I'm assuming are well. They're not entirely acutely ill or sick, so it's not as demanding. And I am assuming like people are happy getting their IV infusion and feeling much better. So it's a lighter environment with less manual labor, and it seems fun. So I think that's something that I would consider if I ever wanted to go back to nursing. If it's not that, then you're not seeing me back at the bedside. But for those of you guys that are working at the bedside, my advice for you is to keep going and gain as much experience as you can before deciding to transition on. Because honestly, your experience as a nurse, some of them, things that you might come across, people that you might meet, the cases that you might see, the ill patients and the diagnoses that you might come across, you may never see them again. So I think it's always valuable to hold on to the moments and memories and experiences that you're gathering now as a nurse, and being able to learn a lot and carry it on to the next phase of your career. This was a whole lot, but thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked and enjoyed what I said, feel free to hit the like button below. Make sure you also comment below if you have any questions or commentaries. I am being more interactive in my comment section. I do try, but I will try more as well, just to keep conversations going, because I like to hear everyone's opinions. And also, if you haven't, please make sure you subscribe to my channel. I do plan on posting consistently. So in order for you to get notified of every video that I drop, it is good for you to subscribe to my channel. And with that being said, thank you guys, and I hope you guys have a blessed day. Bye.